Welcome to the program. My name is Alexander Kerry. Centrist Emmanuel Macron and far-right leader Marine Le Pen are set to face each other in a May 7th runoff for the French presidency. But the polls are tight and the campaign will be tough until the final vote. What does it mean for the future of France? How did Europe react to this first round? And what's next? Joining me in the studio is Olivier Costa, Director of Studies at the College of Europe of Bruges, researcher at CNRS and Europe specialist. Hello, Mr. Costa.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to having you again in the studio. So first, let's have a quick recap of yesterday's results. Centrist Emmanuel Macron and Marine Le Pen are the first on a really tight poll.
Exactly. So we had four candidates that were very close to each other, and the public opinion poll was showing that. And so finally, we have Emmanuel Macron, who's a centrist candidate of a new party that was created only 1 year ago. He's winning his leader with 23%, and just behind we have the far-right candidate Marine Le Pen from the Front National with 22%, and just behind them, very close from each other, François Fillon, the right-wing candidate, and then Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the extreme left candidate.
And French media says it's a total reshaping of the French political landscape. What would you say about this?
Yeah, it is, because since the beginning of the Fifth Republic in 1958, basically we always had, or nearly always had in the second round, the two same political parties, center-right and center-left. And both of them now are excluded because Mr. Fillon is only third and Mr. Hamon from the Socialist Party end up in the fifth position. So it's a total reshaping of the political landscape in France, with the Front National, who's rising now for 20 years, who's proving that it's one of the first political parties in France. And then Emmanuel Macron was able to capitalize in a way on the dissatisfaction of citizens toward center-left and center-right parties, create a new political parties, and finally winning that first round.
Critics tend to say that Macron still doesn't have a program, and that is kind of the hair of François Hollande in France. How true is this statement? Is it true, and how true is this statement?
Yeah, people have been complaining a lot about the fact that Macron did not have a program, but in fact it was just a strategy on his side to release his program at a very late stage. And it proved that it was a very strategic move and a good one. Then people are underlining the fact that Macron is in the line of François Hollande, which is partially true. Macron was a minister of François Hollande, and Macron has been elected partly by people from the center-left, people who are belonging to the Socialist Party, but did not like the strategy of the candidate Benoît Hamon, who was too much on the left. So clearly Hamon is a follower of Hollande, but his electorate is broader because he has also included people from the center, from the moderate right, and probably some Greens, and I think he's also incarnating a new generation. He's only 39 years old, which is pretty young for French politics.
And even if there have been a few clashes, the French population, compared to 2002 with Jean-Marie Le Pen, seems to be a bit apathetic towards Marine Le Pen's presence at the second round. Does that mean that France is getting used to it?
There's two things. First of all, yeah, people are getting used to the fact that the Front National is doing very good scores in all elections today. In local elections, regional elections, European elections, the Front National is now one of the first political parties. So it was pretty obvious that she would be there in the second round. There was a lot of chance about that. Then I would say that also Marine Le Pen has made efforts also to a bit polish her image, and she's less provocative than her father was, Jean-Marie Le Pen. He was a founder of the Front National, and he was always doing a lot of jokes that were anti-Semitic jokes or racist jokes or things like that. And Marine Le Pen, she's still very much on the extreme right side, but she has a better image and she's less provocative than her father was. And I think this was also a good strategy to attract new electors.
Yeah, but even if she did this statement about the Veldiv recently, who actually shocked the opinion, so she's not that far from her roots in some sort of ways.
Right. But she's also has developed a very social discourse, And people who are voting for the Front National today are people who are living in the countryside, who are living in the sides of towns where that are in declines, very poor areas. And she's a populist. She's an anti-establishment candidate, and she's caring a lot to those people, the people who have the feeling to be the losers of the modern society. And so her discourse is true, still very much on the right side, but I think that a lot of people are attracted to the Front National because of the very social discourse, which is a discourse that the Socialist Party does not have anymore.
And some were speaking about Socialist Party. So Hamon lost and expressed his support to Emmanuel Macron, painfully, but he did. François Fillon did it too. And one last person didn't express his support clearly is Jean-Luc Mélenchon. Why so? Is it a question of ego? Is it a question of what's the reason for that?
Yeah, so the candidate of extreme left, Mélenchon, he said that he didn't want to say that, and he wanted to ask the member of his political party, people who voted to him, before answering the question what to do in the second round. I think there is part of frustration because he really believed that he would be able to go to the second round, and also he's trying to keep good contacts with all his electorates. I would say that people who voted for Mélenchon, half of them are coming from the Socialist Party, and they will go and vote for Macron in any case. But half of them are coming from extreme left, maybe for more autonomist parties, anarchists, etc. And they basically consider that both Marine Le Pen and Macron are enemies of the people.
Anyway, like speaking about the market, the European and the global market were relieved by those polls. Germany and Belgium also expressed their support to Emmanuel Macron. Does it mean that the bank system, this liberal system, is endorsing Emmanuel Macron's policy and Emmanuel Macron's presence at the second round?
I wouldn't say things like that. As you know, banks and people on the market are always frightened by everything. And they were really frightened about a situation that would be unknown. For instance, a second round with Marine Le Pen opposed to Jean-Luc Mélenchon. And then nobody would have a single clue about what would going to happen. And this is not good for the business. So the markets were relieved because Macron was in the second round. But I guess that if Fillon would have been in the second round, that they would have been relieved as well. So the idea was just to have, in a way, a moderate candidate in the second round.
So now for Europe, there's a two-case scenario now. Let's begin by Macron wins. What will happen?
Macron wins. This may lead to the relaunch of European integration. He's very pro-European. He never said anything against Europe, and he's one of the only candidates who did that. And especially if Martin Schulz is then elected in September in Germany, then we'll be again in a situation of having the Franco-German couple being able to propose something for the future of Europe. Macron is a moderate liberal. He really believes that European integration is a solution to part of the French problems.
And other case scenario, Marine Le Pen wins. What happens?
If Marine Le Pen wins, then the situation will be very difficult because she has announced her will to withdraw from the euro and even to withdraw from European Union. This would create a major crisis within the European Union. It's a very long process to leave the European Union, but at least having the leader of one of the founding member states of the European Union, one of the big member states, having such a discourse would really create deep difficulties for European integration and would certainly lead to a situation of block in the functioning of the EU.
So my last question is, what's in any case scenario of the winner is, what's the main challenge French society will face after these elections? Because, as we said before, it's reshaping the political landscape, and now National Front is there for good. It's a confirmation of National Front's presence in elections. So what are the challenges for political parties and for the French society today?
Oh, the challenge is very clear, is just to find a new way to shape the political system. We have the Front National with there for good, but I think that 20% is a kind of a limit for them. And then we have Emmanuel Macron with a new political party in the middle. And then we have the Socialist Party on the left and the Les Républicains on the right, who are completely in crisis and who are in a way lost. And I think the main challenge will be to rebuild political parties, moderate political parties on the left wing and the right wing, because a society needs some strong and stable political parties to be able to run as a democracy.
Well, thank you very much for this interview, Mr. Costa. It was still a pleasure to have you in the studio. That was Olivier Costa, Director of Studies at the College of Europe of Bruges, researcher at CNRS and Europe specialist. Thank you for watching the program. Stay tuned for the rest.